Hello, my name is Rich Moscoso, Pro AV Field Applications Engineer with AVer Information. And today I'm excited to talk about the new features with firmware 0.35 for the new TR cameras. So let's get into it. So I am coming to you live from our Boca studios, but just as a refresher, the new TR cameras I am discussing are the cameras like the TR311, the 313, the 311HN. Also, I'd like to mention that we do have a new camera available, the TR331, that does offer 30x optical zoom, but keep in mind this is an HD camera, so 1080p 60 for this camera. So those of you that have been using the camera recently would know that the camera, when it was first launched, had two tracking modes, presenter and zone. So we got feedback from the field, and they asked, how can we make this better? So we have the people tracking where it actually tracks the person as they walk around the space. We have zone tracking, so up to 4 separate zones using presets 6, 7, 8, and 9. So how could we make that experience even better? We came out with a third tracking mode, which is called hybrid. So hybrid mode, imagine you can switch between both modes of uh, people tracking and zone tracking seamlessly. So the idea is that you want the camera to zoom into a particular part of the room, and as you gain access to that space. But then when you walk to maybe the space in between, you would really like that camera just to go back in the presenter mode. So that's what hybrid tracking is all about. For hybrid tracking, we do have to use presets. We use a different set of presets. So presets 10, 11, 12, and 13 are used for hybrid tracking. So a couple other features we've added with version 35. We've added a couple new selections here under camera control. Those of you that use the web UI to gain access to the camera and to control the camera have noticed that once you would zoom into something, a really tight shot, and then try to use the pan and tilt controls here, that those movements were really multiplied, right? So what you would think would be a slight nudge to the left was really a bigger jump to the left, and that's because you were zoomed in. But now with relative zoom ratio, even when you zoom in on a subject matter that's a tighter shot, hitting that left or right or tilt up and down is now uh, more honed in, and as far as more as the calculation, it will just nudge the camera slightly rather than a big jump. Also, we've added the ability to save a preset with just the PTZ and focus values only. So if you happen to make other changes to the camera, if you have this selected and you save a preset, it will only affect the PTZ and focus values. Another thing we've added is the ability to change the resolution of the camera on the web UI. That comes real handy. Before, you would have to hook up the HDMI or SDI output of the camera and then use the on-screen display to change your video output resolution. But now with this later firmware, you can actually do that straight from the web UI. We've added the ability to auto zoom, as well as the ability to reboot the camera, as well as a new feature called effective tracking area. I'll create another video that goes more in depth about that, but the idea is that you can then set a parameter, whether you're in presenter mode or hybrid mode, that as you are in presenter mode and you're walking around the space, the camera will automatically stop to a predetermined uh, area that you've configured it. So I'll talk about that more in another video. We've added the ability to import and export configuration files via the web UI. So now you can actually import and export. Uh, Question comes up, why would you want to do that? And a couple important things, right, is if you're doing a multi-room type installation, maybe it's a school and you have 45, 50 rooms that are basically the same. You can actually, set up your first room with all your presets and everything, do an export, and then go to room number 2 and import it. So it'd be a way to kind of speed up the process, if you will, for that bigger installation. But also think about it, disaster recovery. So say the room is being painted, a ladder falls on the camera. Oh no, you get a new camera in and it's like, oh, do I have to really set this up from new? The answer is no. You put the camera on the network, you do an import um, of the settings that you had exported previously, and it will import all the presets and the settings you had in the camera. And it's also good for backup and also debugging. There might be an occasion where new equipment's added to the room and you're having some issues. So we may ask you from time to time, can you export the file from the camera so we can mimic the settings of your particular environment as close as possible. So to try to narrow down any issues, either with the camera or with the external equipment that may be causing an issue. This is pretty cool. So I like this new Visca preset commands. So the ability to create customized commands, right, within this software or firmware. Currently, anything from auto tracking on, auto tracking off, going into presenter mode, zone mode, hybrid mode, recall a tracking point, switch presenter. These commands are now all available via a customized preset, right? So you can use whichever preset that you would like. I just have mine set up like this, but I would recommend using, say, a range of presets, right? So say you reserve the presets in the 40s to be your customized presets, because we do use preset 1, preset 6, 7, 8, 9, preset 10, 11, 12, 13 are kind of reserved. Well, not kind of reserved. They are reserved for hybrid mode, and then of course zone mode. So keep that in mind. But just an idea, a thought that say your customized presets are in the 30s or the 40s. You can change those. You can enable or disable them. So if you were to recall preset 50 from, say, the AVer TR311, it would actually send a reboot command to the camera. Or if you were to recall preset number 14, it would actually turn the auto tracking on of the camera. So really handy and really, really good to have. Also, via the camera remote, we've added the ability to turn on the Rtmp stream and also turn off the Rtmp stream. Via the camera remote, use EV plus to turn it on and then EV minus to turn it off. Just hold those buttons for at least 1.5 seconds for that function to work as Rtmp on and off. We've also added the ability for sleep mode and then sync with tracking. So think of this sync with tracking if you open up a Zoom meeting or Teams or a Google Meet. It will actually turn the tracking on as well as wake up the camera. And there's no other buttons you need to do. And then there's a sleep timer added. So the sleep timer, you can set it up for 10 seconds, 5 minutes. So when the call's over, this sleep timer will kick in and it will say wait 10 seconds. Keep in mind for sleep mode, the camera does have to be in USB only mode for this to function properly. And then other improvements for NDI, as well as we created an AVer OBS plugin. Some other fixes for power off preset, and then a couple known issues. So we're still working on, working with Safari. So just use Chrome and IE11. And then USB port does not support hot plugging yet. So you may have seen that you plug it in, you don't see anything, you replug it, then you see it. So another thing worth mentioning is going to our averusa.com/pro-AV to go get this firmware available for the TR series right here, and the release notes. Release notes will cover pretty much what I just talked about here, right? And then let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. We would appreciate it. Thank you and good luck.